Today on Investigate TV, a no-knock raid, a mistaken address. Police wake people from their sleep and drag them away in handcuffs.
Yes, I was afraid, I was scared because of that time of night.
Por su vida, for your life.
Plus, shots fired at the busiest airport in the world and the security flaw that made it possible for this man to grab his gun, one that could still leave travelers at risk across the country.
Oh my God.
Go, 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 go.
We have an active shooter inside the airport, so we need everybody to stay clear.
Investigate TV starts right now. Hello and welcome to Investigate TV. I'm Lee Zurich. A dangerous mistake. Two men woken up in the middle of the night, taken from their home by police hired by their apartment complex, busting in without a warrant. How can that happen? Brendan Keefe investigates.
Roswell Police, if you're inside, make yourself known now.
No knock.
Roswell Police, come to the sound of my voice. You sure the door closed?
No warrant.
Hey man, come, show me your hands.
We got contact.
Show me your hands. Manos arriba.
Were you afraid? ¿Tuviste miedo?
Sí, tuve miedo.
Yes, I was afraid, I was scared because of that time of night.
Por su vida, for your life.
Keep going. Keep going. Aquí ahora.
Officers forced Mario Melgar from his apartment at gunpoint and took him into custody.
Get him out of the way.
¿Por qué? ¿Por qué? Why?
Pues no sé por qué.
Well, I don't know because they put the handcuffs on me for nothing.
708, we 1 detained.
How can the police come into your home without a warrant when you've done nothing wrong?
Pues lo mismo me
I am asking myself the same thing because I really have no idea why.
Someone live? Is it supposed to be vacant? It's not supposed to be vacant. Okay.
The officers with a specialized unit were looking for squatters in vacant apartments in June of last year. A broken window attracted their attention.
Someone's got a TV. It looks like someone's living in here. TV, couches.
This is 100% supposed to be vacant? About 90% sure.
The armed entry team had their doubts from the beginning.
Looks pretty furnished.
Hold it, I can go confirm. You go confirm before we go further into this.
Detective Charles Craig checked the rent roll again and again.
There's a bunch of squatters, but I don't think this is going to be related.
That apartment was listed as occupied and fully paid up on rent.
Do you live here?
Yeah.
You live here?
Yeah.
Okay, show them vacant.
Even after Detective Craig checked the list, Mario and his roommate Marco were detained as suspects.
Pero tienes derechos. You have rights.
Exactamente.
Exactly.
The rent roll that you're referring to, the document that you were checking for vacancies on, where did you receive that document from?
I got it from the property manager.
Both Detective Craig and the officer with the ballistic shield and gun just inside the apartment received paychecks from the city and from the apartments.
Did you know Officer Craig worked for this apartment complex as an extra job?
No.
I didn't know anything about that.
When a private business hires an off-duty police officer, they get more than just the person. They get the police uniform, the officer's badge, the officer's gun, their arrest powers, and in some cases, on-duty loyalty to their off-duty employer.
And were these searches or were these patrols of vacant apartments requested by the property managers?
No, not that time. And they put that on the vacant list?
But one of the officers that night reported management of the complex had requested Craig periodically check vacant apartments for squatters.
I f***ed up. I read the list wrong. It wasn't their list that was wrong. I read it wrong.
We don't know how much money the apartments paid any of the officers because the Roswell Police Department doesn't track off-duty hours or pay.
How long after that time when you realized this apartment wasn't on the list of vacant apartments did you finally release the person who was in handcuffs?
Too long, 10, 15 minutes.
Okay. And during that 10 to 15 minutes, if you had to estimate, how many more times do you think you lied to try to save face during that interaction with the officers and the person who was handcuffed?
Multitude on the same thing to try to save face and try to make it go away.
And the detective faked a phone call to the property manager.
And the phone call
Never happened.
never happened.
I don't understand. They're supposed to be here.
Yeah, they're good. They live here.
Mario and Marco were released with an apology.
When we determined the officer lied, he was told that he was going to be terminated and he quit before he was fired.
Es suficiente? Is that enough?
Creo que no es suficiente.
That's not enough because besides, it wasn't just him.
Do you feel safe here now? ¿Seguro?
No.
¿Qué quieres cambiar? What would you like to see changed?
I would like them to be more careful,
Tengan cuidado.
To be careful.
Ajá.
Take more care.
or that they check first
Show me your hands. Manos arriba.
so that type of things don't happen again.
Get him out of the way.
Officer Craig resigned in lieu of termination. Neither he nor apartment management responded to multiple written offers to participate in this story. Most police departments require officers to get pre-approval for extra jobs. Some track hours and pay, others don't. Roswell, Georgia police told us that they consider these private transactions between the outside employer and the off-duty officer, even though they're using the city's uniform, badge, and gun.
Want to take a deeper dive into some of our investigations? Read more of our team's work at InvestigateTV.com. Coming up, gunfire in the world's busiest airport. What is TSA doing to prevent a repeat? Brendan Keefe questions the agency after the break. Welcome back to Investigate TV. Airport security checkpoints across the nation are vulnerable. TSA agents find guns in carry-on bags every single day, and a gap in the screening process puts travelers at risk. We've already seen gunfire at the world's busiest airport. Brendan Keefe has exclusive new video of the incident.
Move, move.
Everybody's running and screaming.
4713, I got some kind of explosion in the main checkpoint.
APD said some type of explosion at the main checkpoint. Somebody saying gunfire.
Shots fired, shots fired.
Where exactly?
Inside the airport.
We have a call of shots fired at the South Terminal.
I see a police officer. He has his gun out. I guess I'm supposed to get in.
November 2021, Atlanta police run toward the sound of gunfire.
Go, go, go! Oh my God.
Go, 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 go.
As passengers and TSA officers run for their lives.
What we got, man? What y'all see?
We have an active shooter inside the airport, so we need everybody to stay clear.
Keep the planes away from the concourses.
The armed passenger ran toward the T concourse, but then turned around and exited into the South Terminal, where the gunman blended in with other passengers who were also running away.
3796, radio silence now.
Police were still searching inside,
Go, come on. Let's go. Outside.
while the gunman was running outside.
Outside. Everybody outside.
How did a passenger get to a gun during secondary screening on the secure side of the main checkpoint?
A TSA officer is going through his bag. He grabbed the gun in the bag and took off, grabbed the weapon and ran.
And right here, that's when the gun went off.
And a gun doesn't just go off.
Right.
Somebody pulled the damn trigger.
They think a gun went off and he just grabbed the stuff.
Right.
And the supervisor was trying to tell him not to, and he grabbed this.
Oh, okay.
Kenny Wells was a convicted felon who wasn't supposed to have a gun anywhere, let alone inside the busiest airport in the world.
How did he get by over here to be able to get the gun out of the bag?
Often, a bag ends up on the secondary inspection table right in front of the passenger because there's a suspected prohibited item inside. That could be as simple as a bottle of water, but it could also be something far more dangerous. Right now, there's no barrier preventing a passenger from reaching into their bag during the TSA inspection other than the honor system. Why no barrier? Why not have a barrier in that secondary screening between the passenger and the suspect bag?
So we have barriers up now. So back in November 21, we didn't have barriers up.
TSA is right. There was no barrier at all that Thanksgiving week. This is the same exact station more than a year later. Plexiglass at face height, but nothing at all right now between a passenger's hands and their flagged luggage.
So there is a barrier there now. We don't have it completely closed off.
Those barriers are for COVID, not to prevent access to the bag.
No, but it does give us the added benefit of providing separation.
We checked airports across the nation. A few, like West Palm Beach, have full-length barriers between passengers and bags selected for secondary screening. In other airports, those full barriers still have gaps big enough to reach through. But most, from New York to Atlanta, still have no barrier at hand level.
Some airports have full barriers, some have barriers with some gaps on the bottom of them. It's different kind of everywhere because the equipment and the stuff that's placed in the checkpoint during COVID was kind of procured locally.
Why does it matter? Because TSA detected more than 6,500 guns last year at airport checkpoints. Atlanta leads the nation with an average of more than one gun found every day. Yet ATL is one of the airports without full barriers at the secondary screening areas, more than a year after that accidental discharge forced a panicked evacuation.
We have disrupted the world. Well, apparently they had just seen it, and I guess were they like trying to find it?
They don't do that. They usually leave it up there and make me come and get it.
That's what I'm saying.
So how did this happen? When the bag goes through the X-ray machine, it stops briefly on the conveyor belt. If TSA detects something suspicious, the bag moves sideways behind a plexiglass barrier. If TSA suspects there's a gun inside, the bag is kept in that secure area for local police to take custody of the weapon. But sometimes it's just a question mark. The suspect bag moves to a TSA officer on the secure side who takes it to a table with no security barrier. The physical bag check takes place right in front of the passenger with nothing to stop them from reaching in and grabbing what's inside.
It's been more than 20 years since a single failed shoe bombing, and we're still taking off our shoes. A gun went off in the busiest airport in the world and effectively brought it to a standstill, and we still don't have a physical barrier between the passenger and a potential gun in a suspect bag.
If we know that there's a firearm, we're not going to let the person that owns that bag get access to it. Unfortunately, it happened in this situation because we weren't, at the time, aware that it was a firearm. We were supposed to do the secondary screening.
In January of this year, the gunman pleaded guilty to a single federal charge of possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. Up next, a murder case spanning half a century closed this year. Hear from the victim's family and find out which piece of evidence cracked the case. That's after the break. Welcome back to Investigate TV. A gruesome murder that gripped the nation. A mourning family breathes a sigh of relief. After more than 50 years, Rita Curran's cold case is finally closed. Darren Perrin has more from Burlington, Vermont.
Well, we were a couple of years apart.
Mary Curran Campbell shared the love of music with her big sister Rita. Mary into tap dancing, Rita a talented singer who by all accounts was kind, smart, hardworking, a beloved second-grade teacher in Milton.
She was very dedicated.
Her future looked bright until July 20th, 1971.
I don't know what she would have been like when she was 35 or 40. I don't have that image because she's always 24 years old to me.
In a crime that rocked the Queen City, the 24-year-old was brutally beaten, sexually assaulted, and strangled inside her bedroom at an apartment on Brooks Avenue in Burlington. The gruesome murder shattered the neighborhood's sense of security at the time and triggered one of Vermont's most notorious unsolved mysteries. Who killed Rita Curran? A question her family thought may never be answered.
Then the years rolled into decades. Even though we might not ever give up hope, that we really felt at this point the person was probably dead and that we would never know who did it.
But now, a major development in the cold case.
We're all confident that William DeRoos is responsible for the aggravated murder of Rita Curran.
Burlington police identify the killer as William DeRoos, a neighbor who lived in the same building in an upstairs apartment he shared with his wife. He was 31 at the time. He didn't know Rita. She had only moved from her parents' home into her apartment a couple weeks before. Police say DeRoos got in through an unlocked door and found Curran alone in her night clothes, ready for bed. Her roommates out for late-night dinner and drinks. Police say evidence shows Curran fought for her life.
The amount of evidence was just staggering. This was the most investigated case the Burlington Police Department had ever had.
Detectives at the Burlington Police Department were assigned to the Curran case over the decades, but it wasn't until about 3 years ago that the BPD put a large team of investigators and crime ID technicians on it, basically a CSI unit.
Really, it was the enormity of the case that needed the team approach.
DeRoos had been questioned by police the day Curran's body was found, but they say he convinced his then wife to provide an alibi. That wife, interviewed 50 years later, admitted she lied to police. In fact, DeRoos had gone for a walk to cool down at the time of the murder after the couple got into a fight. But investigators are convinced DeRoos's wife didn't know her husband murdered Curran.
I think she was coerced.
They say DeRoos had a history of violence and manipulating women, choking his second wife unconscious, stabbing one of her friends randomly. But the key piece of evidence needed to pinpoint the killer was right in front of investigators all along. A cigarette butt discarded at the scene, but kept all these years. It cracked the case.
The cigarette butt had been dropped there and burned out on the floor next to her body.
Given his violent past and proximity to the murder, DeRoos's name had been added to the suspect list. They tracked down a half-brother in Alabama to get a DNA sample.
It's able to detect things that we wouldn't have been able to detect back in the day.
Through advanced testing, they determined without a doubt the cigarette came from DeRoos.
And they were able to develop a DNA profile off of it on the filter area that would have touched his mouth.
Further testing of other evidence, like Curran's clothing, also determined DeRoos's DNA was likely on that too. Curran's murder gained national attention when at one point, infamous serial killer Ted Bundy was investigated as a possible suspect, but he was quickly dismissed as the likely killer.
We were numb. It's like, oh, 51 and a half years and it's the guy upstairs.
Mary Curran Campbell says their close-knit family is what got them through the decades of dead ends, heartbreak, and waiting. And now the answer to the biggest question of all brings some peace.
I had only 22 years, and it's been 50. My children never knew her. My grandchildren never knew her. And they're the ones that people say, how do you get through it? How did you get through it? I got a lot of rocks holding me up.
William DeRoos was not charged with the murder. He died in 1986, but his DNA has been added to a national database. Coming up, 2 men wrongfully convicted, sentenced to life in prison, form a brotherhood. That story after the break. Welcome back to Investigate TV. Since 1989, more than 3,000 people have had their convictions reversed, according to the National Registry of Exonerations. Black Americans make up less than 14% of the U.S. population, but according to the registry, they make up more than 50% of the listed exonerations. Angie Racono introduces us to 2 men wrongfully imprisoned who formed a brotherhood while fighting to prove their innocence. She met up with them earlier this year, a month after one of them was released.
I passed the written part of the test.
Lamar Johnson is adjusting to life after 28 years in prison. He's had 1 month of freedom.
Yeah, this is a good day.
He's rebuilding his life.
I got it.
What is that?
This is driver's license, man.
Oh, let me take a look.
That voice you hear behind the camera is Ricky Kidd.
And then from there, the world is open to you. Bet. Congratulations, bro.
So explain who this is.
This is my best friend, Ricky Kidd.
The 2 met while serving life sentences for crimes they didn't commit.
Who is that?
Ricky is also an exoneree. He got out first.
I was glad that he got out because we had made a pact that whoever got out first, that we would reach back and help the other person.
It is hereby ordered that the motion of the circuit attorney,
Ricky was in court when Lamar was freed,
for the benefit of Lamar Johnson is granted.
I was able to kind of stand up, and I think it was after then when I was able to look at him. We had that moment.
Did you say anything or you just look at each other?
I would just look.
That's all was needed. That's all was needed.
Here's the moment and what happened next.
Back on the streets.
You might say Lamar and Ricky are doing life together again in a much different sense.
It's nothing like trail walks.
Not everyone gets his chance. Innocence projects are overwhelmed with applications.
He was the one who actually got me introduced to the Innocence Project. You got to look at his case. He was very insistent about that, and he said, I bet my own freedom on it.
And I said, I am vouching for Lamar Johnson's innocence, and I'm willing to stake my own reputation on it.
It worked. The same Innocence Project which freed Ricky Kidd eventually freed Lamar Johnson, the Midwest Innocence Project. Both men fought lengthy court battles which required a team of lawyers to gain freedom.
It takes an army. It took an army. And it's just scary. It's scary. And I hope that something's done about that. And what is all of this here, though?
Lamar and Ricky point to Missouri law, which makes it difficult to get old cases back to court. People who are exonerated receive no compensation from the state. They recently discussed that fact together with lawmakers. Lamar is able to start over because of a GoFundMe which raised more than $500,000.
I know a lot of people were generous and they donated to your GoFundMe. What did you think about that, that people who don't even know you helped out?
I could never thank them enough. I'm extremely grateful to them, and I think it says a lot about how people feel about injustices.
I think we take a real close look at the next chapter.
Lamar says the support means he can catch his breath and catch up on life. Ricky is his tour guide on the outside.
Mr. Johnson hugging a tree.
There are no trees inside. I have not touched a tree in 30 years.
Lamar says he's learned life is about the little things and the people you share it with.
What you got there? What kind of blizzard is it?
This is an M&M and an Oreo.
M&M and an Oreo. Mm-hmm. Was that your favorite then, or did you add something new now?
This is exactly what I remember.
Oh wow. That's an iconic sign.
So it's no surprise to learn Lamar now calls Kansas City home.
This is yours.
At least for now. He's close to his best friend, who's family.
We're brothers. We're brothers in the real sense, not just in loose words.
Like I say, freedom is priceless. You cannot put a price on it.
You did it, Lamar. Hey, bro. You did it, man.
If you're looking for more investigative reporting on demand, download our streaming apps on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire TV. And that's it for us. Thanks for joining us here on Investigate TV. We hope to see you next week.